Hello, I'm Rich Morris, lead drone at BroodMinder, coming to you from Bees on Main in beautiful downtown Stoughton, Wisconsin, and I want to talk about our new battery saver mode. It's in the latest release of the Bees app, and you can update the firmware in your devices and set them so that you get over 5 years of battery life. So it's really a cool feature. It was sort of hard to do, but we got it going, and I think we're pretty happy with it. I'm sitting here with our swarm simulator, which has a lot of devices in it, and we use that to test it along the way. So what you'll do is you'll go to user settings and go to enable battery saver. You'll see I have a lot of them populating. You won't see that until you update firmware, which we'll talk about in a minute. But let's go to setup. And in setup, you can adjust these values in here and see what we believe the battery life will be as you change them. So for instance, if we have a hub in the apiary, which is a really handy thing, you can see the values go up quite a bit for all the devices. And if we schedule swarm detection, and let's do it from May 1st to August 13th. They should be done by then, here in Wisconsin at least. And then you say enable scheduling, we see all of a sudden it pops up to over 5 years for the T2s. And that's because we're not watching for swarms all times of the day. You see we're only going from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you reduce that down, you'll get a lot more battery life. Of course, you don't want to miss swarms, so you'll have to figure that out for yourself. Once you do that, then all you have to do is hit enable/update, and that will start talking to all the devices that it can find. You have to be close to your devices when you do this, and it will start setting them for these values. And as they set them, you can see we have check marks going that are telling it, and we'll let this go for a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, now you can see that a lot of them have been done here. It's working through the whole list, and you can see the icons on the right. The left one is battery saver, and the right one is the scheduling has been updated in the devices. Now, when you first see it, if I include all the ineligible devices, then I can see, okay, that a lot of my devices need firmware updates. Some of the really old ones, the 41s and 42s and 43s, the firmware update won't work. Those are all over 5 years old. So, but it will work on all of the T2s, the TH2s, the Ws, the newer Ws, and the W3s. So there you go on that. Now, if you want to turn it off, it may take a while. You can just hit disable up here, and it will start going through and finding them. One of the things, though, it says disabling battery saver may take 10 minutes. And that's because with a hub, we only need to put out advertising pulses when the hub is looking. So we can save a lot of power by only doing that for 10 minutes an hour. So they come on every 10 minutes, make their little communication, and that's when the phone grabs it. So if you do want to take them out of battery saver mode, you can remove the battery. That'll put them right back there. Or you can do this and wait 10 minutes. And as they do it, you can see the little X comes on battery saver and all of that. Now, firmware needs to be updated for this to work. So to do that, you'll see app settings show firmware updates. We default that to off right now because we don't want to alarm people that they need to do firmware updates. There's nothing wrong with your devices. The only new feature, if you do a firmware update, that'll be there is this battery saver. So if you want to use this, first thing, go in, show available firmware updates. Then when you go to your devices tab, you'll see, let me get down to the 47s. You'll see here that I have some and firmware update available. When you press update, then you can say update firmware without sync if you've don't need those readings, and push that, and it'll start doing the process. It'll take about 30 seconds or so, but once that's done, then they should show up on the list. And the last thing I'll show you is this screen. If you look at the details for any of the devices that you've changed, then you'll see on that whether battery saver or activity scheduling is active on those devices. So it's a really great feature. It was pretty complicated to figure out how to make it easy. It's still not quite as easy as we wish, but it's well worth it. Once you set it up, then you can leave your devices. If you have a hub, basically they will take care of themselves, and in 5 years you can replace the batteries, or for some of the scales you see it's quite a bit longer. One last thing that I almost forgot, we've added energy tracking to our devices. So for all these years we've watched voltage, but voltage is very affected by temperature in batteries. So Rich Hogel worked a long time on this, and basically we have quantified every little bit of energy that we use, every energy advertising pulse, and every sample that we take, and every time that we're connected. And we take all the energies and add those up so that we know what the total energy that's been pulled out of a battery is. So we've added that to my BroodMinder, and it comes across in your hubs and everything, so that now not only do you get the battery voltage, which we know goes up and down a lot, but energy tracking is going to give an estimate of how much energy is left in the battery. We decided that this was important. If we're putting 5-year battery life, how can we remember whether or not we've changed the battery anytime soon? So that's one last bit that we've added, and we really hope you enjoy all this, and remember, every hive counts.